Magyar szólások és közmondások angolul beszélőknek.
Hungarian sayings and proverbs for English speakers. Buzz off.
Légynek se mondd, kidongja.
Let's take a look. Légy is a fly. Here, Légynek is the dative. That means to or for the fly. Mond is to say or tell. Here we have two Ds because it's imperative. This is different from the imperatives we've looked at previously, and we'll go into this at the end of the video. You would have seen beszél before. It's a more common verb than mond. There is a distinct difference. Beszél is to speak to somebody, and you speak valakivel or valakihez. Beszélek Jánossal. I speak to János. Notice that the V in the vowel becomes a sh after an S. So this is a case where it doesn't just assimilate, but also the spelling reflects the assimilation. When you speak, you can speak about something. Beszél valamiről. Beszéljünk másról. Let's speak of something else. Let's change the subject. Notice here with that J as a giveaway, this is also an example of the imperative / subjunctive. In contrast, mond valamit valakivel. Say something to somebody. You don't say about it, you say it as an accusative. Igen mond. She says yes. And remember, in Hungarian, it could be he says yes or it says yes. And you can also mond valakinek, tell somebody. Mond neki, hogy várjon. Tell him to wait. Dong means to buzz, what a fly or a bee does. Buzz. By adding the ki, it means buzz off, buzz out, which just leaves she. This is the same as ne when used with an imperative, so it means not. Taking it together, fly to, not say, off, buzz. Don't say to the fly, buzz off. So what that actually means is something must be kept in complete secrecy. So, what about vocab? I was thinking originally of doing insects, but I covered this in dogs and fleas, so let's instead look at buzzers. So what is a buzzer? Now this was actually quite a journey for me. Is it chengo? Well, this is more a bell, something that goes ting, as opposed to something that goes brr. Chipogo is closer to what we think of as a buzzer. Little electrical buzzer, it's a chipogo. This word can also be used, however, for a pager. Speaking to native speakers, they would use neither word for what we see here. They'd use nyomogon, push button. And I was told this would be the normal word that would be used for what I see here. The nyomo is not required. In casual speech, this would just be called a gom, a button. Nyomo is a press button or push button. And there's even a television program called this. So let's look at buzzy flying things. The thing most people think of is me, a bee. Now notice the H is not pronounced. The most famous buzzy thing in New Zealand is the Buzzy Bee, which is a children's toy. If we want to look at a bumblebee, we put the word pos at the front. Pos me is a bumblebee. And a wasp, dorage. Let's go beyond the insect kingdom. What about man-made buzzy things? Now, if you're in a city that's not at war, a drone is just something that's really annoying. I have somewhere a neighbour that likes flying these things at night, looking in at windows, and they make a terrible noise. Not quite so bad during the day, but at night it's really annoying. Living on the beach, the other thing that drives me nuts is a motoros sharkine rapulu, a motorized dragonflyer. That is a microlight, and they buzz up and down the beach all weekend. Really annoying. Let's have a look at the definite conjugation for the imperative. Most of the examples we've seen before in these videos have been indefinite conjugation, but here we have a definite conjugation. So the definite is mond with a J, and that's short for mondial, but normally in casual conversation the AL isn't used. The definite conjugation replaces the L with a D, and in casual conversation we drop the JA, so it just becomes mond. You do have to pronounce the D doubly long. It's not yet automatic for me, but it sounds a bit like mond. Throw, dob, break, tur, wash, mush, build, epit. Notice the long I, TS, becomes a ich, not an ets or etch, each, epich. And choose, valast. Now that's not a spelling mistake. The T has gone. This is just what happens if it's a SZ and then a T and you change it to the imperative. Drop the T and you drop the J. In the plural, the J returns. You can't drop the J in the plural. Now notice with mosh, instead of having a J, we have an S. So it's not moshyatok, it's moshatok. With epit, we replace the J with an S, a sh, and it's actually pronounced epichetek. Let's look at that prefix ki. So if we say mond, that's to say or to tell. Ki mond is to declare or express. Beszél is to speak. Ki beszél is to let slip, divulge, or even speak ill of. As we've already looked at, dong, kidong. Mush, ki mosh. Mosh is a really painful verb because the prefix changes depending exactly what you're doing with it. But ki mosh is to wash something out, as in to launder. It can also mean to erode. Ki dob is to throw out or discard. Epit is to build, whereas ki epit is to build up or develop, not build out. Tur is to break. Ki tur is to break out or erupt. And volost can either mean choose or elect. Ki volost can mean choose. It can also mean secrete. So the ki may not change the meaning. It could still mean choose, or it could change the meaning.
Légynek se mondd, kidongja.
So keep silent, keep it a secret. Don't keep this channel a secret. Share it with your friends. Like it, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, and we can keep growing.